All right, welcome back from that short commercial break. And it's exactly 34 minutes past the hour of 7 a.m. And at this particular time, we're heading straight into the press brief. And of course, we take a look at what's really making headlines into the print media. And firstly, like as always, I have two sets with me here. And I'm going to start with the New Vision and see what's really making business headlines in there. Yes, just received this hard copy. So I'm trying to unlock it here and we take a look at what's in here. All right, as of course we see government injects that's 569 billion shillings into skilling youth in farming. This is something very remarkable. 569 billion regarding that. Maybe just a brief. Over 5,000 youth are expected, of course, in the West Nile and Gulu, destined to benefit from a euro, of course, a donation of 569 project and aimed at empowering, of course, staying in improving their agricultural skills and production. This is something very remarkable of trying to engage the youth into agricultural production, and this will be very relevant, of course, to fight poverty amongst the youth, since they constitute the biggest percentage of the country's economy and of course the country's population, and they have a potential to contribute quite a big percentage to the country's gross domestic product. And also this will be key to improve their livelihoods and boosting the income per capita. Okay. And also, sorry, my voice is a little bit, I got a little cold, and that's why I might sound like the way I'm sounding this morning. All right, and government considering early end of third term, of course, due to the Ebola, and of course here the ministries of education and health are engaged in discussions on ending third term early. That's to contain the spread of Ebola virus disease. So last time schools closed early due to, of course, not having enough funds to run them for that term, and it's the uncertainty is coming back around this very time again due to the outbreak of the Ebola virus. That's quite uncertain, and of course to the people that are investing into this particular industry, and probably something is being worked on to ensure that everything is put in the right order. All right, and now still looking at the New Vision. We see the members of parliament support government to borrow that's 1.7 trillion shillings. That's for the budget. The members of parliament on the Committee for the National Economy have supported that's the government's decision on its requisition to borrow euros, which are estimated at 455. Those are 455 million euros to be borrowed, and of course for the sake of the budget. So they are requesting the government, they're supporting the government to take on that particular initiative to do that. Okay. And of course, still here further, they say that government local borrowing, and of course, is making business loans quite very expensive. So you can see that insight regarding that. And that's also one of the headlines right there in the New Vision that are making headlines. That's into the world of business. Okay. And still looking at the New Vision, let's take a look. And of course, I see over 60 borders recovered. Of course, stolen borders recovered, and of course 11 have been arrested. Wow, that is something also right in there. And also looking at the aspect of streamlining the private sector, of course private sector financing of politics. And that's also something that we are looking up to in here. And all right. Okay, now I'm done with the New Vision. Let me head straight to the Daily Monitor and take a look at what's making headlines in the Daily Monitor, looking at the business perspective, and of course trying to beat time because I'm almost heading to the international news. It's the time for the international news, but let's just review something small real quick in the Daily Monitor. Okay, and of course still I'm looking in here to see what's transpiring. Seeing Italy lauded for supporting that's Uganda's health and education at the same time. Yes, as we can see, something very remarkable in there. Okay, what's making headlines of business in the Daily Monitor? And of course, I see Red Cross workers arrested in the bar, that's during curfew. And of course, police in Muwende district have arrested 13 health officers. And of course, at attached to the Red Cross medical team together with other 11 residents while, and of course, in about during a few hours at Katogo village in Western Division. That's Mubende municipality. Remember, there is a lockdown in these areas due to the outbreak of Ebola virus, and of course, those that are not following the regulations will be facing serious criminal charges. Okay, then finally, I'll wind this up as inflation pushes prices of commodities higher and higher. And of course, the price of goods and services in Uganda, as measured by the Uganda Bureau of Statistics, and of course, the annual headline inflation increased to 10.7% over the last 12 months. Remember, a month before it was recorded at 10%, and according to the data that was released by the UBOS yesterday, the inflation now stands at 10.7%. So that's what is really happening in the country regarding the prices of goods and services. And now let's get straight to the international news and see what's making headlines across borders and of course away from Uganda. Let's get straight to the international news. And of course, we start with the United States of America as we head straight to the new boss of Twitter, that's Elon Musk, who denies reports of laying off Twitter workers. Okay, in a separate development, Mr. Musk has denied a New York Times report that he plans to lay off Twitter workers. That's before the start of next month to avoid having and of course make payouts. It follows his buyout last week, which saw the exit of the firm's top bosses, including its chief executive chairman and finance chief. At the weekend, the New York Times, of course, reported that Mr. Musk had ordered, major job cuts across Twitter's workforce. And definitely, this has been making headlines across, and of course, saying that is to do major layoffs for some of the workers on Twitter, which posed a big threat to majority of them. But of course, he's coming out to deny that he did not actually tweet this. He did not really say this, that he's going to lay off the workers at Twitter. Of course, the newspaper said that layoffs would take place before 1st November, when workers were due to receive grants of shares in the company as a major part of their pay deals. Of course, but replying to a tweet, of course, a Twitter user asking about the report, he said, "This is false." Elon Musk said this is false. The takeover has prompted discussion among Twitter users over the platform that will look like under Mr. Musk's ownership. Some have voiced concerns that more lenient free speech policies would mean people banned for hate speech or that disinformation may be allowed back to the platform. And of course, last week, Mr. Musk said that he doesn't want the platform to become an echo chamber for hate and division. Twitter obviously cannot become a free-for-all hell, of course, space where anything can be said with no consequences. That's what he said. Of course, however, after denying the New York Times job cuts report, Mr. Musk tweeted a screenshot on the New York Times headline posting about him posting a link to a site known to publish false news. Of course, the New York Times headline referred to a reply Mr. Musk had posted and then deleted at the weekend to a tweet by the former U.S. presidential candidate, that's Hillary Clinton. Okay, his reply contained a link conspiracy theory about assault on Paul Pelosi, husband, that's of U.S. House Speaker, that's Nancy Pelosi. Of course, Mr. Musk also started a Twitter poll asking his more than 112 million followers whether he should bring back the video app Vine. The service that allowed users to share, that's a 6-second long looping clips, was bought by Twitter, that's in 2012. It gained more than 200 million active users by the end of 2015 before being shelved by a social media platform. Mr. Musk has previously run polls on whether or not he should sell 10% of his stake, and of course in the electric car maker Tesla, and if Twitter should have an edit button. Of course, that's regarding the new boss of Twitter. That's Elon Musk, denying the allegations that he's going to fire some of the Twitter, lay off, not even fire, but lay off some of the workers on Twitter. Okay, now away from that, let's come back to Africa. And this time around, we are looking at Ghana. As we see, Ghana's president outlines measures to halt a depreciation that's of the city. Ghana President Nana Addo Dankwa, that's Akufo-Addo, outlined measures to halt the depreciation that's of the Ghana city. The Bank of Ghana's latest official data released that's in October, and of course saying that Ghana city had depreciated by 37.5% between January and August this particular year. Among President Akufo-Addo's other suggestions include restoring the macroeconomic stability through an IMF-supported program, reducing debt to GDP ratio by 55%, and of course that is by 2028, tackling speculation to limit volatility to the city. Okay, he said this action was introduced when introduced would make available foreign exchange and boost domestic forex market. Turning the systematic challenges that create difficulties in the forex market, Akufo-Addo said the government would introduce more stringent measures that's to discourage the importation of goods that could be produced locally. Of course, he said that they will review the standards required for imports into the country, prioritize the imports and review the management of the forex, that's exchange reserves, in relation to imports of products such as rice, poultry, vegetable oil, toothpicks, pasta, fruit juice, bottled water, ceramic tiles, and of course all these he stated. Of course, with intensified government support to the banking sector, he said there was a capacity to no measure and these products locally in insufficient quantities. Of course, in the interest of the national security, he said that they must urgently reduce that's dependency on imported goods and enhance self-reliancy. I could have said that, adding that he was confident that these immediate measures will go a long way to sanitize the foreign exchange market and make it more resilient against external vulnerabilities going forward. Yes, and of course that's the Ghanaian president putting up an initiative to ensure that the currency gains back its value, and of course also not just gaining back the value, but also being in a position to be resilient in case of major shocks in the future, that it can be able to not to just go down against the major reserve currencies. That's the dollar, the pound, the Japanese yen, and so many others. All right, now we wind up the international news in business by looking at Europe. And this time around, we look at Europe's data market strains to force some governments, of course, to rework trading rules. So there is going to be changes in the trading rules in some of the European countries. And of course, this follows the increasing debt burden. Okay. Some Eurozone countries have eased rules for the banks that manage their trading, of course, for their government debt, to help them cope with some of the most challenging market conditions that's in years. That's what, according to what the officials told the media. Out of 11 major Euro area debt agencies, of course, Reuters contacted officials in Netherlands and Belgium, and of course, they loosened the various market-making obligations, dictating how actively these banks should trade their debt. France, Spain, Finland say their rules are already structured, of course, to automatically take account of the market tensions. Germany and Austria said that they do not set such rules. As European Central Bank unwinds years of buying the region's debt, while the war in Ukraine and energy shock and turmoil in Britain are making investors worry of loading up government bonds. Of course, debt managers are adjusting to less liquid or more volatile markets. Of course, that in turn could raise borrowing costs for governments already squeezed by climbing interest rates and energy-related spending, and bring more uncertainty for institutions, of course, such as pension funds, which seek in debt, of course, government debt, safety, and stability. Okay, the Eurozone government debt bid-ask spreads, of course, the difference between what buyers are offering and what sellers are willing to accept, and the measure of how smooth the trading is. And of course, this has risen up to fourfold since the summer of 2021, a data compiled according to Market Access. All right, and that's it regarding the business report. And of course, looking at the international side this time around, and we're heading straight to the business tips and quotes to make sure that we can inspire your career in business or whatever other aspects you're pursuing in your life that is meant to help other people's lives and develop their livelihoods. Let's get straight to the business tips and quotes. But firstly, let's review the business tip of the day. The business quote today says, luck is a matter of preparation. Luck is a matter of preparation meeting opportunity. Okay, this is something very, very key and something very important to take note of. And this is, it explains quite a lot. Sorry, just having a little cold that is quite disturbing me, but we shall keep on with the show. Well, like, you have to be prepared when opportunity comes. So many times we believe in luck and we disregard the aspect of getting prepared, and sometimes opportunities will come your way, and simply because you're not prepared, you're going to end up messing it up. There is no such a thing like luck. Luck comes when you're prepared. Okay, let me say that even though you have to face luck, there ought to be a time that you get prepared. For example, you want to be, you want to build this mega big business, a multi-billion-dollar business, and probably you always talk about it, yes, but it's not just enough. Go ahead, make business plans, and go try to find out what do you need to start up this business, what are the stakeholders, because one day, one time, trust me, somebody's going to come, and all they're going to need is your business proposal, and that will be enough to speak for you, because they're not going to need you to talk about everything there and then, and of course explaining yourself more and more. It's just going to need you presenting a proposal to them, and they will be in position to give you the funds that you need to run your billion-dollar business or your multi-million-dollar business. It could be any business. It could be any amount of money that you wish to actually run a business with. But that didn't come by chance or by luck. You were prepared for this moment, because moments always come to test how prepared you are as an entrepreneur, as a business person, as somebody pursuing a very important career out there. So take note that luck is preparation when an opportunity comes. All right, now the day says diversify, and it says that if you get more than 50% of your business from one customer or distribution channel, diversify. Don't become, of course, dependent on one source of your long-term economic well-being. And that is something very, very important, very, very, very remarkable. That diversification is very key as an entrepreneur and as a person that is, of course, pursuing a career. You can't just rely on just one source of income. It's good to diversify your sources, and that will be beneficial. And of course, also help you to catch up with the daily rising inflation, most especially within the country, as we see every day the prices keep on increasing. So if you don't diversify your sources of income, that is going to be quite a very disadvantage for you. Very direct as it is right there. Okay, that's it for this particular segment. We're going to get into a break, and we shall be returning with more business insights. Good morning.